if you can't love who you are and what you've achieved and
100%.
exactly what you've been blessed with, I mean, that doesn't mean you're narcissistic. I truly love who I am and who I've become.
100%.
And I'm honest with myself. There's a cluster of things that I could definitely make better.
Good as Gold's the official Gold's Gym Australia podcast.
Proudly supported by Raw Energy, cafe partner for Gold's Gym Australia. Jeff, welcome to the Good as Gold podcast. It is so great to have you here. Tell us a bit about yourself. What's your name? What do you do?
Good afternoon, guys. It's a pleasure to be here. So, my name's Jeff Myth, as the whole industry knows me. My surname's a bit of a mystery to most people, so I've kind of left that aside for now. I was a personal trainer for 12 years. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to slag the competition because I am a man of honor, but I will say that the company that I worked for does start with an F and ends with first, if you know what I mean. So at the moment, I own and I run Gold's Gym North Sydney, in Sydney, Australia. And we're just having a ball here. We're just loving it.
So good.
Yeah, and it's so obvious as well that you are loving it.
Yeah.
We were talking before on your socials, just you do really embody the whole Gold's Gym ethos as well, about the legacy all the way through to being for the people, for the community. And yeah, you've got some good stuff, and I can't wait to just really crack into the knowledge you have from being, I mean, we'll call it an industry expert.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
And especially, repping.
Yeah, we're all repping
in Gold's Gym at the moment as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell us how you first kind of got into the industry and kind of what your relationship with your own health and fitness was as well.
Right. So look, my relationship with health and fitness, goes back till I was 2 years old, no joke. So I was really, really fortunate. To me, I've got the greatest father in the world. He taught me the most fundamental things about life, and he raised me to be mentally and physically strong. So from the youngest age I could possibly remember, we were always training together. My dad was just a figure of power. He still is. And we were always training, doing push-ups. We always had weights at home. We always had a weight set in the backyard. He'd make sure he'd get me up. And that was normal to me. So, my dad never smoked. He never drank any alcohol. And that was my first memory of training, was with my dad, doing push-ups with my dad. And he actually enrolled me into a martial arts academy at the age of 4. There wasn't really kids classes back then. So I remember the day he took me to a Kung Fu academy, and it was really authentic, right? And it was all grown men, and I saw him. My dad's a little bit of an intimidating bloke, so he pulled the Grand Master aside, and he was like, "Train my son, he'll be fine." So he was hesitant to take on a child because it was all grown men.
Yeah.
However, he let me join the class, proved myself, stuck with him for probably a good 10 years, to be honest.
Wow.
Got my black belt in Kung Fu by the age of 10. And I learned so many lessons then because I grew up around men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there was guys in their 20s and 30s and 40s there. So they all actually really admired the amount of concentration I had. I really didn't stuff around in that class. It was something I took super serious. My dad was a very serious man. Like I said, a little bit intimidating. So to me, I really had to perform. So so started martial arts. Always did weights at home. And what happened was my master wanted to take me to China to compete.
Wow.
I was 13 years old.
Oh my God.
So mum freaked out. She's like, no, you're going to get brain damage. You're going to die. And seriously.
As every mother,
and,
rationally thinking, yeah.
I was training every day. So literally in my mind, nothing else existed. I was going to be a martial arts expert. That's all I wanted to do. It's all I dreamt about. I'd go to sleep thinking about it. I'd dream about it. And I was a bit of a weapon when I was young. I mean, it really put me in a different mindset. I was quite serious when I was a kid. You would never catch me joking around or laughing around because it was all about combat for me. So then, yeah, mum said no. Dad agreed. And then, so my trainer went to China and he just disappeared. He never came back. Literally to this day, I literally Googled him about 6 months ago because I was like, I wonder what he's up to. I found him, he's like a grandmaster. And what I mean by that is it's a dynasty for these kind of people. So these people don't literally know anything except martial arts. Yeah. So his dad was a master, his dad's dad was a master, etc., etc., etc. It's like a full town in China just dedicated to these guys. So he never came back. Wow. So by the age of like 13, 14, I kind of felt really, really lost because I had nowhere to train. So I walked into Police Boys Club and I noticed some Muay Thai classes. And so, I started doing that. I was running to the gym because I was really young. It wasn't too far. It was probably about, a 15, 20-minute run or a walk to the gym, or sometimes my mum would drop me off or I'll catch the bus. So it was a little bit different to change the style of martial arts, but I really started to understand and embody Muay Thai. So, moving forward, I kept doing that till I was about 18 years old. I competed, so I was a high-level amateur fighter. So I was still on that journey of really, fighting was my thing. So I never really thought of bodybuilding, but I never stopped training weights. There was a weights gym where I did my Muay Thai training. So, before training, I'd do some weights after Muay Thai. And I was training every single day. I'd go there in the morning. I'd go there after school. I'd go there on the lessons. It literally was all I wanted to do.
Wow.
Suffered an injury during training. I broke a bone in my back. It was just a freak accident. So I broke a trans process. Trans process in the back. It's like a little bone in the spine.
Damn.
So kind of went a little bit downhill for me there. So I'm like year 12 now. I'm in a lot of pain. I couldn't do any sports at school because running would hurt. I think I did about 12 months of rehab, and I was seeing a physio every day, I think, for about 12 months. It helped a bit. So, so that kind of made me a little bit upset because I was like, okay, so, you can't fight anymore.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, my parents were kind of happy. They weren't really endorsing it too much because they just thought, we're just going to put him into martial arts just for some discipline and some basic self-defense. But I really took it quite seriously. Yeah. So I didn't really get too much support there from mum and dad to taking the martial arts to the next level. So what happened then, I finished year 12 and I started working from day one. So I decided to do a building course in TAFE. So started doing building, was working as an apprentice builder / labourer and bricklayer. And one day my girlfriend was picking me up, and this is probably where it went a little bit downhill for me, but it spikes up. She was picking me up from TAFE. It was about 3:00 in the afternoon, and we were caught in traffic. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Parramatta Road in Sydney, Australia. It's quite a big busy road, 6 lanes. And bumper to bumper traffic, and she made a little bit of a mistake. She went forward and she stopped, so she got caught in the middle of the intersection. Make a long story short, the guys behind us started to beep. So I look in the rearview mirror, and literally in a split second, these 2 guys get out with baseball bats.
Wow.
What?
And I was like, it was a total random attack. So we had nowhere to go, and I've had a bit of experience with aggressive people, and you kind of tell when someone's bluffing, and you kind of can see that twinkle in someone's eye when they mean business. So I just, I had to protect my missus, to be honest with you. So I jumped out of the car, locked the doors, and fought these 2 men.
Wow.
Two more jumped out with some more weapons. And then the car behind them, 4 more jumped out with some more weapons. So I essentially fought 8 men. Stuffed up a couple of them, but I got quite seriously injured.
Yeah.
I mean, I had holes all over my body.
Wow.
I ruptured my eye. I mean, my nose was like over here. I was hemorrhaging from my eyeball. I was pretty much left for dead, to be honest with you. So I was lying, that was a major turning point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So the last memory I get was, I'm fighting these guys, and I can hear my girlfriend at the time, who now is my wife, right? Screaming, saying, "Somebody help him, somebody help him." And I'm like, "Do not get out of the car." And I'm just getting baseball bats across the head. And, to be honest with you, if I didn't have that martial arts training, that's why that whole 20 years kind of compacted into 1 second for
absolutely.
me. Right? Yeah. I definitely wouldn't have survived that. And if it was I'm happy it happened to me, because if it happened to somebody that couldn't defend themselves, they definitely wouldn't be here with us. Because I was just on the verge of death, to be honest with you. Last memory was I was just lying face first in the middle of 6 lanes, and just in a pool of blood. And I see a semi-trailer just drive literally straight past my forehead, like a massive semi-trailer. And that just literally gave me like a spring of energy. I literally just bounced up. Yeah. Got in the car. Adrenaline. And I was like, don't look at me. Don't look at me. I'm fine. Yeah. I'm not fine.
Yeah.
I look like the Goonies, right? And I'm like, just take me to the hospital. And then that was it. I just went black from there. Yeah. I think, and that was about 3:30 in the afternoon. I woke up at about 12 a.m. I think I was in a mild coma. I was still unconscious. Yeah. And I freaked out. So I had all these wires on me, and I just remember my girlfriend like looking over me, and it was all a blur. And I freaked out because I was so worried to tell my mum and tell my dad. So I pulled all the cables off me, and I was like, I've got to go home. And they're like, you're crazy, you can't leave. I'm like, I have to go. So, and that was purely because I just didn't want to frighten my mum. I didn't want her to get a phone call saying, your son's been in an accident. Yep. So I specifically remember saying, do not call my parents. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll be okay. So I discharged myself. Doctor said I was crazy. My girlfriend dropped me home, and mum opened the door, and I was like, I'm okay, don't look at me. She saw me the next morning. I called Dad in the room. I was like, Dad, this and that happened. He's like, turn on the light. He looked at me, and he's like, he didn't freak out because my dad's a very calm person. Yeah. He understands combat very, very well. He's been through his fair share. But I saw it in his face that he went white. Yeah. He was like, okay, just take your medicine and just go to sleep. And he broke it to my mum slowly. And then look, I couldn't work after that, so I got a little bit, I went a little bit downhill. Saying downhill, I mean, I just felt lost. I didn't know what to do because I literally couldn't go back to work. And I had put so much effort into my building career. I couldn't do anything. So I just said, stuff this, I'm just going to start again. And I'm just going back to the gym. Yeah. So I just started training. Yeah. And I just kept it to myself. So I think I was nearly 20 years old at the time. Yeah. So I'm 38 now. So I just trained, and nobody really got it because I kind of kept to myself, and I just stayed in the gym. And like my girlfriend said to me at the time, she said, like, it's so good that you're training, but like she didn't really know much about training. So she's like, what are you doing? Like, what does it all mean? And I just said to her, I don't know, but I'm never going to feel that vulnerable again. So the best thing for me to do is go in and just strengthen my body again. Yep. I'm never going to feel in a position where I can't defend myself in any way. So I just needed to train. So yeah. Wow. And it all kind of just unfolded from there, to be honest with you.
That's a journey. I honestly did not see that. I actually did not see that coming. No, neither. At all.
From doing, push-ups in the backyard with Dad to karate to winning five-time bodybuilder champion.
Correct, yeah.
What does that feel like to be a 5-time winner?
Look, honestly, of course it feels great. I mean, whenever you've got a title, no one can ever take that away from you.
Yeah, it's true.
It's always yours. But I really never... I'm a super competitive person, but I really just did it just to make my family proud, to be honest with you. That's it. That, you know, that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
If you put effort into something, if you get really good at something, I always knew that training was super hard, physically and mentally.
Yeah.
But I always said to myself, and I remember this, and I still say it now, I'm like, hard work has to count for something. Like, it has to equal something. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you're carrying bricks up and down the street. You've got to get something out of it.
Yeah.
So I really didn't know that I was going to end up being a personal trainer, et cetera, et cetera. So I went back to work as a bricklayer. I quite enjoyed laying bricks. I mean, I don't know why. I just had a passion for laying bricks. My dad was like, "Are you crazy?" Like, I'm like, I love it. I don't know. It's just something about the symmetry and the lines and being able to just make something.
Yeah, building something.
I just loved it.
Yeah.
So I went back to doing that, and then I was training back and forth. And my best friend at the time said, "What do you think about being a personal trainer?" To be honest, I really didn't know what that was at that time because they weren't very popular back then.
Because that was what,
you know,
20 or 18, 15 years ago?
yeah, yeah. I would say I was about 21 now.
Okay, yeah.
21, so I'm 38 now. So yeah, I was like, well, what does that entail? Like, how do you become a personal trainer? He's like, well, I've looked into it. You do this course, and you can make $100 an hour. I was like, for what? Just training someone?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. I'm like, man, that sounds good. That's probably better than laying bricks all day. Because, you know, I actually started to not progress in the gym. I mean, laying bricks is very, very demanding.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd start at 6:30 in the morning, you'd finish at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you would just feel broken at the end of the day. And then I'd still go to the gym, but it just wasn't working. Like, I literally was making zero gains. Like, you get 2 smokos, like, you know, what can you eat? You know, you have like 500 calories the whole day.
Yeah.
So it wasn't working. And I was like, I've got to choose what I really want to do. And I was like, I just want to train. I literally just want to train. It's what I'm made for. So I canned that. I said, yeah, whatever. Look, I don't really want to go back to school, but let's just have a bit of fun. Because we went to school together, right? So we trained together. We went to school together. We laid bricks together. We were best mates since year 7. So anyway, we did the personal training course, got certified, applied for a job at Fitness First. So there was a bit of a stigma around bodybuilders there. So they didn't give me the job. Even though I was training at that gym for a few years before, I had a massive following. You know, I knew everybody in the gym because I'd spend like 5 hours a day there. Everybody would come up to me and they would be like, Jeff, when are you going to train me? When are you going to train me? And I was like, okay, when I become a trainer. So I had this strategy. I was like, all right, let me collect everyone's contact details. And when I'm qualified, I'll train them.
You're like literally already hustling before you've even started.
Yeah, but I mean, everything was so freaking difficult for me. Like, so I applied for the job. They're like, no, sorry, you don't fit.
Oh.
Second time, I was like, come on, I need a job. Like, I'll be really good, I promise. I won't bring in a bodybuilding culture, et cetera, et cetera. They're like, no, sorry, Jeff. So that made me really upset because I'd continue to go to the gym and I'd continue to see them recruit more personal trainers. And I was like, these guys, like, they don't even train and they're training people. And I'm just looking at them like, they're not really doing a good job, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, stuff it. What's the worst that can happen? So I walk into the gym, I pretty much slam the manager's doors open. And I'm like, listen to me. I will work for free.
Wow.
Give me a chance. I said, if you're a man, just give me a chance, buddy. Okay, just give me a chance. Convinced him, gave me a chance. My first week, I made $13,000. So I sold
$13,000.
Yeah. I made 13 grand my first week. I'll never forget. I literally didn't know what to do with it. So I had this like bundle of cash. I came home and I like put it in the speaker of my stereo. Like, we had the old stereos back then. Pulled out the face, I was like, someone's going to steal my money because I just didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So, and the way I made that money was I pretty much did 44 hours that week. And that was a Fitness First record because they used to keep records back then for the PTs. They said you broke the record. And I was charging $140 an hour then. I was charging more back then than what the trainers charge now.
Yeah.
And I was fully booked, and I think I sold like 10, 20 packs to other people.
Yeah.
And I just had a waiting list.
Yeah.
So worked for about 15 months there at that specific gym. Did so good, like saved up, you know, I bought my first house, put it that way. Put down 20% back then. So I was like 22, about 22 years old. So then the manager pulls me aside one day and he's like, listen, so he actually started to really respect me and really like me. He's like, listen, Jeff, this is what's happening. I'm not going to lie to you. The trainers are conspiring against you.
Yes.
You are going to get fired. He said, you are going to get fired. I just want you to know it's not from me. It's from head office. He goes, I've tried to endorse you and back you up, but you have a chance. He goes, I'm moving to this Fitness First, which is the one in North Sydney. If I can persuade and convince head office to take you with me, would that be okay? I said, well, you know, what choice do I have?
Yeah. If I'm going to get fired.
The Fitness First that I was working at, it was probably one of the best ones back then. It was quite large, beautiful gym, great culture. I had a lot of business. Obviously, the personal trainers didn't want me there anymore. They had no business. I had all the business. You know, who cares? It's their problem, not mine. Moved to North Sydney, the crappiest Fitness First in Australia. Like, you don't understand. There was freaking fungus growing off the freaking carpet. So I walk in and there's like 10 trainers. No one's in uniform. Literally, they are training people wearing thongs and a singlet.
No.
And I was like, wow. Like, I mean, I would go to work, you know, I'd have a shower, I'd do my hair, I'd put cologne on, you know, I'd put moisturiser, I'd look really, really good, you know. I really took pride in myself, in the uniform. I loved it. Just loved it. So, I literally had to build my business from scratch. Struggled for a couple of years, to be honest with you, which was difficult at that time because I had, you know, a mortgage and repayments, blah, blah, blah. So built my business back. I literally had to drop my rates back down to about $100 an hour, and I was charging $140. So, built that business back up, built the profile back up. The club got better. And then, worked there for about 9 years straight.
Wow.
Did pretty well, you know, made a lot of great connections.
Yeah. How important?
Awesome network.
How important is gym culture now to you? Owning a gym, like what is that like? You know, the center of it, or is it the look of the gym? Like, explain that side of things.
Look, honestly, the vibe is the most important thing in the gym, and what sets the vibe is just like anything, like a household or a family. It's a leader. Somebody needs a leader in the gym. And those particular gyms, those large conglomerates, they don't have leadership quality. And it's the small things that count, like making sure staff is polite, making sure, you know, you get a smile and you remember somebody's name at reception. Yeah. You make the experience for the member, you know, as they're walking in, immediately pleasurable, because like to me, right, you just don't know what's happening in someone's life. You know, that one training session just could be that one thing that's holding somebody's life together. That one strand of hair, that's, you know, that one thing, that training could be everything to them. And so they hire a lot of staff. They have no idea, you know, they're not trained properly. So the vibe is very important. I mean, I don't need to be in the gym for 10 hours a day. I do it because firstly I love it. Secondly, I'm really like watching over everything. I've trained my staff in such a way so they're kind of little mini versions of me, so they understand that kind of that OCD thing is super important. And I guess that's all the feedback I get from the members. They're like, besides the equipment, besides the hygiene, the vibe is great. We feel safe here. We feel comfortable because we've got you know, we've got athletes, we've got big boys, we've got girls that compete, and we've got grandmas. For me to sell a membership to a grandma is hard work. I've got to persuade her, and she has to feel that I'm authentic, that she's in good hands. I'm going to delegate the right trainer to her. She needs to train for her longevity, for her health, and this is the place where she needs to do it. And controlling all those different type of personalities is an art form. I've kind of perfected it. I mean, you're still learning every day, but you know, in the beginning, you know, people start to really get to you, so you've really got to understand psychology, I think.
I think that's really important as well, like having as many people coming into your gym as possible, as in from all different areas and walks of life. I feel like that is like, to me, going into a gym.
Inclusive.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like, it's so important to have that. Run us through when you opened up Gold's Gym in North Sydney. So what kind of made you...
Yeah.
Why Gold's?
Why Gold's?
Why Gold's?
I'll need a drink of water for that.
Have a little sip.
It's a little bit heated. Again, I'm not gonna slag the competition. So so I'm competing. I'm prepping for my competition in 2016. So I'm in super focus mode. So you have to understand that I competed all the way through my personal training career. So what made me so popular and do so well, I mean, I was doing 60 personal training sessions a week at about $120 an hour. So I was cleaning up. But I delivered an authentic service, and members respected me because they saw me live this.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Know, they saw me live this. They saw me carry my food around. They saw me explain training to people, and they saw me, taking time out to meal prep. They'd be intrigued. They'd be, wow, do you do all that? I'm like,
you actually
absolutely.
walk the walk.
So they followed my journey, And funnily enough, a lot of people from the gym would come to my competitions and support me because cool. I built a following there, so they respected that. So once again, manager pulls me aside, and he says, "Here's a letter." He doesn't talk. He's white, and I'm just sitting. I was like, "Oh, hey, buddy, how you going?" His name was Lou, by the way. I actually hope he's watching. I'm gonna send him the link. So I open up the paper, and it says, and I'll never, ever forget these words. These words changed my life, and I'm so grateful for them.
Yeah.
He said, "DJ, you do not fit the culture of our club, and we are worried that you may tarnish our reputation in the future." That was the sentence that changed my life. Right? So reading that at the time was like my whole world falling apart.
Yeah.
I had a 1-year-old boy. I had a wife, I had a mortgage. I had, over 100 clients that depended on me. And I knew these clients personally. I understood what was happening in their relationships. I knew their children. I knew the problems they had at work, the problems they had in their marriages. And I could honestly only sustain that business if I authentically cared about these people.
Yeah, exactly.
I did. They were my best friends. They were my network. I didn't have friends outside of that I just like switched off and went and hung out. No, my clients were my friends. And these were high corporate people. They weren't just nobodies. So at the time, it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I was like, why? What did I do? And he just was blank. So because he had no explanation. There was no incident that happened. Once again, the trainers, they had no business, and I had all the business. Yeah. So I figured that out, So I kind of just went silent from there. I went silent for 3 months. My last day was November. So they gave me 3 months notice. I had a pregnant wife too, by the way. So I was freaking out. So that was a Friday. Saturday, Sunday, I was super upset, like really upset. I was like, far out. Like I just can't get a break, It's just the prejudice that, really got to me. You don't fit the culture of our club. It made me feel like, I'm actually, I've built the profile of this club by being just an image of health for you.
Yeah.
So that wasn't, and he was a new manager, by the way. He had only been there for 2 months. So he didn't really know me. I never saw him. They gave me 3 months notice. My last day was the 3rd of November. Walked around the gym, shook everyone's hand, thanked everybody for their support. I shook his hand. I wanted to go down like a gentleman. I said to him, thanks Lou. But I hadn't really decided what I was going to do. But I knew at that point in my life, it literally was a defining moment for me. It was make or break. I was literally going to go back to finding a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
Because there was no hope for me being a PT. Like, it's just not my style to go and train people in the park, and I wasn't really an online type of guy. I really wanted the face-to-face kind of personal experience with people. So I was like, you do something big now, you risk everything, or you just go back being just a standard person.
Yep.
So I was...
And that wasn't an option for Jeff.
Not an option.
It's definitely never been an option. I mean, I've never really been able to be that type of person.
Yeah.
It's just difficult. I just suffer from extreme boredness, and I just can't be told what to do. So I had this idea. I remember the day my wife was outside. She was putting the washing up. I was like, "Hey, how cool would it be if I opened up a Gold's Gym?" And she looked up at me and she's like, "That would be freaking amazing."
Yeah.
So in 2013, I competed in the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. So I was chosen because I won the Australian title.
Amazing.
In 2012. So I qualified. They choose one Australian from every division.
Wow.
They build the Australian team. They fly you over to Columbus, Ohio. And you compete in the world titles, the Arnold Classic. So that was probably the biggest competition and the hardest competition I've ever done. So my sister lived in LA at the time. And she had a house there, and she trained at Gold's Venice. So she trained at the Mecca. And so I went there a month early, and I lived with her, and I trained 3 times a day at Gold. I just fell in love with it. I didn't want to leave. I literally considered moving to LA just for Golds.
That's
wow.
amazing. It's that iconic.
I have actually been there, and
The Mecca.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's inspirational. It's just like the legacy that lies in there, the history behind it. It's so rich and pure. And so now, and like opening your own gym, are you trying to bring that same legacy in? Or like you said, you're trying to cater for, not just a niche market, but everywhere from the guys who are competing, guys and girls competing, all the way through to, GMAR and GPAR.
Now what I'm trying to bring to the industry is a few things. Everyone's accepted in my gym. That's the number one thing. Everyone is welcome in Gold.
Yeah.
Because you go to Venice and you see the best in the world bodybuilders. You see Mickey Rourke. You see superstars. You see grandmas. You see young ladies.
Yeah.
You see such a huge variety of different people. And everyone gets along. It's a community.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about it. Nobody looked down at each other. I mean, if anything, the bodybuilders were the most respectful because they would teach people that didn't know how to train.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could walk up to Dexter Jackson and talk to him, and he would talk to you.
Yeah.
Even if he was training for the Olympia. So that was amazing. I trained with Robbie Robinson for a month. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Robbie, but he was Arnold's training partner.
Wow.
So he's a legend in the industry. And so I'm trying to change the cultures of all types of gyms. I believe I've already started that. I believe I will. Everyone's welcome. It's all about education. So we want people to come into our gyms and understand that they are purchasing education.
Yeah.
They're not just buying a gym membership, and we're not hoping they don't pop into the gyms just so they pay their gym membership. I literally call people up and I'm like, "Hey, Mike, you haven't been in for 3 months. You all good, bud?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, I'm a bit lazy." I'm like, "Listen, get back to the gym. I'll organise you a complimentary session with the trainer. Let's see if we can get some motivation going."
So good.
I literally feel guilty for people that pay their membership and never come. Yeah. So it's my mission. Like, I want people to train.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see that you are so passionate about the sport of bodybuilding, but also just like everyday people that are, just looking to better themselves. And I just love that so much. So the one thing I probably had on bodybuilding is if anyone is kind of like, what's your number one piece of advice for anyone who is either about to compete or in prep at the moment?
Or even toying with the idea of like wanting to compete. Yeah.
That's a really good question. As the younger generations coming up, what I've noticed is obviously social media is huge. And it's all about the pictures and it's all about the destinations, it's absolutely fine. However, training and the reason for training, it has changed. I mean, you see the younger generation looking up to people that they shouldn't be looking up to, right?
Yeah.
Training is meditation. Training is self-discovery, and it's fighting demons in your mind, right? Because we've all got them.
Yeah.
And it's bringing the best out of yourself. That's what it is. So my first piece of advice would be make sure you train for the right reason.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine to set yourself little goals like, I'm going to train for a holiday or a festival. I want to look great. That's absolutely fine. Everybody needs small goals.
Yep.
It doesn't need to be a bodybuilding competition. It can just be for, you know, a dance party or whatever.
Yep.
That's fine. But you need to understand that training should make you mentally healthier, not give you complexes. So you see the younger generation, you know, looking up to pictures on Instagram that are just not realistic.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
Realistic.
Who are the people that you are kind of like talking about when you say that people are looking up to people for the wrong reasons, or like who specifically are these people?
Look, there's no one specific, but I guess it's just the image that guys see all over social media.
Yep.
I mean, guys out or girls out with the shirt off and their abs out.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, going to a festival and taking a bunch of drugs.
Yeah.
And understanding that whole trying of, you know, that 3 months of training was to just destroy my body for that one day and just to look good. I mean, firstly, that's not healthy physically. Secondly, it's not healthy mentally because you're going to develop, you know, complexes in your mind.
Yeah.
And you're not going to have the inspiration anymore because when's the next festival?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
in a year or 6 months.
Yep.
So yeah, I like to, I've got a lot of young guys here at the gym, probably 15, 16, 17, and they really look up to me because they understand that training is serious. It's something that is therapeutic, and you know, it's the number one most therapeutic decision you can ever make. So just train for the right reasons. That's all. You know, if you've got an issue, if you've got something you're battling, channel it.
Yep.
Channel it into something and get really good at it, and then, you know, you'll reap the pleasures from it.
If a theoretical younger you came into your gym and you took yourself under your wing, what would be the advice you would give, like, you?
Yeah, younger you.
So obviously when you're younger, you don't know how to train or eat properly.
Yep.
So I just run him through the basic fundamentals because you can waste so many years training incorrectly.
Yeah, chasing your tail.
Yeah, and eating incorrectly. So I'd just sit him down. I'd say, look, Jeff, you know, make sure you're eating this, this, and this. I'd keep it super basic. I wouldn't complicate him.
Yep.
And then I'd show him how to train. I'd spend some time with him, and it's such a beautiful thing because I see some of the older boys here doing that with the younger boys.
Yeah, like passing it forward.
Yes.
They do.
Yeah, I love
they
that.
do. So, and they start to look up to these people. So and the other thing would be, don't base your training on how you feel today. So if I wake up and I'm in a happy mood and I'm like, I'm going to hit the gym because I feel great.
Yeah.
Don't base it on that because, you know, firstly, you don't wake up in a happy mood every single day.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you wake up pissed off or upset or you're feeling depressed. And I think I've touched base on this with one of my videos. You've got to get to the gym. You've still got to do what you've got to do.
Yeah.
You can't base it on how you feel. So even if you're not feeling so good, still get to the gym because it can't make you worse. It's only going to make you better.
Yeah.
You basing your emotions on your training is very, very dangerous because realistically, most of the time, I mean, as an adult, we're not walking around super happy 7 days a week, 365.
Yeah.
You know, we've got crap going on in our heads, in our work, in our family, in our friendships, in our relationships. And if you can't control that and make sure you got to do what you got to do, you know, as an adult, especially as a man, then you're no good to anybody because then you can't perform at your peak performance. You just can't perform. So put your emotions aside. You're not having a good day, train. You're having a great day, train. You've got an injury, train around it.
Yeah.
You know, I've had tons of injuries. I literally have had so many injuries that, I mean, it's just like annoying to think back. It's like maybe 100 injuries, but you know, I always found a way to keep training and just get through it.
Yeah. So you're a full-time dad, full-time husband, full-time business owner.
Yeah.
How do you juggle it all?
That's a good question. I mean, schedule.
Yeah.
I have a really tight schedule. I'm a creature of habit.
Yeah.
So it's really important for me to write things down. I've learned.
Yep.
Even the small stuff, just use my calendar, write things down. Monday to Saturday is pretty identical for me. I do have random meetings and it's just got to be scheduled in. You know, some days it's back to back. Literally, it is back to back. And then, you know, whether I've had a good day or a bad day, You know, I try and just leave that outside before I get home. I sit in my car for 5 minutes, you know, just take a few breaths, walk in. I've got to be a dad still, you know. I've got to make sure my kid's done his homework. Yeah. Make sure he has a bath, you know. Make sure the missus is happy, help her. And, I mean, that's what a man does, I guess. He takes care of the people he loves. He takes care of his people. And he protects and he provides. So that's my job. And that's what I do here at the gym. That's why I'm here, because I enjoy protecting my members.
Yeah.
You know, 99.9% it's great, but you're always going to have that random weirdo in a gym. Gyms attract weirdos. It's just how it is. You're just going to have a bunch of different personalities and a bunch of, you know, different people. And, you know, you're bound to find a couple of weirdos. So, I kind of find the weirdos, make sure they don't spoil the whole fruit, the whole basket of fruit. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes you have to, you know, have a chat to them, pull them aside. And if they accept it and they continue, you know, being weird, then they've got to go, because, you know, my duty is to protect everybody here. Yeah. And just make sure their experience is perfect.
How oh, you go.
I was just going to say, yeah, you're just a man of, you're a very wise man.
He's on it. I was going to just touch on, you've mentioned it a few times, and I can kind of tell that you are that fatherly figure, not only in your own home, but at the gym as well. I mean, how important is it, you think, for men or boys up and coming to, you know, take ownership of their body, but also, you know, there's a lot of stigma, let's say, with, you know, bodybuilding and, you know, steroid use and all of this, and not necessarily like abusing their body and their relationships around them, but just men taking ownership. And it does seem as though you are that guy who has taken control of the, you know, opposition that has happened against you. You've pushed through those barriers, and now you advocate, I would believe, for strong man of the house, you know, that kind of vibe.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I can't stress enough how important it is for a man to look after himself physically. Yeah. I've always believed strong body, strong mind before strong mind, strong body. I mean, if you can put yourself through some type of suffering every day, you're bound to get stronger. And you know, training is a form of suffering. Like I said, you're no good to anybody if you're weak and your emotions take over you and you just can't function as a man. Yeah. We need strong men, I think, these days. I think society really needs strong men. I mean, you know, who do you call when your house is on fire? You call a fireman. Or your car breaks down, you know, or your toilet's blocked up, or you get attacked. You call a police officer. You call a strong man. So it's really important to train. Yeah. Boys from a young age these days, and you know, I don't want to get too deep into this or too controversial. They're kind of shamed, and I don't like that. They're kind of shamed into wanting to be masculine or train or to build some muscle, you know, or you know, young boys are impressionable. Yeah. They want to act a little bit macho, and that's okay. They don't need to be shamed for that, as long as it's controlled and it's channeled into the right things, and they're taught respect for both genders. I mean, women are beautiful. They're incredible. They are so important. But so are men. You know, we are both really good at different things. That's why we need each other, and that's why I totally believe that we need to respect what we are both good at. I mean, I'd never drop my son off to a childcare centre full of men. I mean, like, do you know what I mean? I just wouldn't do that. Yeah. I would trust a woman with my child. She can do so many things that you know, a man can't do. They can nurture, they can love, they can care, they can just give that pure oxytocin, and that's what a child needs for its survival. I mean, from day one, I mean, that kid is not going to survive unless that mother can produce that, you know, that beautiful hormone oxytocin. And that's difficult for a man to do. And vice versa, a woman's not going to feel safe. She's not going to, you know, feel that maternal instincts unless she's not provided and protected for. So I think it's gone a little bit warped in today's society. With gender roles and all of that, I think people are complicating things. I think they should just keep it basic and just remember what we are here to do on this planet. So look, training's important for women too. You know, I love empowering women and coming into the gym,
Yeah.
You know, if anything, they should be training more than men these days, because they do go through childbirth. Their bodies do, you know, don't take this the wrong way, but their bodies do fall apart faster than a man does.
Yeah.
So they really need to take care of themselves as well. So, yeah.
That's cool.
That's my take on it.
That's amazing.
That's good. How important to you is like confidence? Let's say, like you do come across confident, and I'm also a guy that, like, I'm really confident in my own skin, my own being, in just general. And I see, you know, you've seen it, I'm sure, 1,000 times that some person walks into the gym, they're looking around a bit anxious. With, you know, gym comes confident. What's your take on confidence and why it's key in being who you are, I guess? Yeah, look, that's a really good question when it comes to having somebody comfortable and trust you in a gym. To be honest with you, 90% of people that walk into a gym to sign up, I've had so much experience with people and just studying their body language and just the way they walk, the way they talk, their tonality, their posture. Instead of judging them, I can see, and I teach this to my staff, I can see that they're lacking in some type of confidence.
Yeah.
And look, my role as a leader in the industry is to empower somebody, like I said, to provide that protection, which is going to make them feel safe, and then, you know, slowly be able to build their confidence. And if I can build somebody's confidence up by 20% by teaching them how to train properly, coming into the gym with their head held up high, being able to smash out a workout and feel like they've achieved something, I know that confidence is going to translate in the workplace, in their relationship, and just the way they care for themselves and they carry themselves. I've seen men. I used to specialize really. I mean, the most type of people that were attracted to me when I was PTing was really men from the age of 35 to about 45. And these type of men really lost their way. They and what I mean by that, they were so suffocated by bills and pressure from the office and career. Being a dad and being a husband and that they forgot to look after themselves. Yeah. They forgot to maintain that masculinity. And so that's why I was so attractive to them, because they'd see me walking around and I would just be myself. But I mean, now that I'm older, I can see how people perceive me, but I never understood that before. Yeah. They'd be like, this guy's a beast. Like he's a little bit intimidating. He's a little bit aggressive. He's super confident, or he's just an arrogant bastard. They'd get to know me, and it would take 5 to 10 seconds of me speaking to them, and they'd know that I wasn't arrogant.
It's funny.
They'd know, I was confident.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because we were just talking about that, like, at lunch, like, where, you know, there's so many projections around, like, you know, if you walk a certain way or you talk a certain way and you're confident and
even
you're
the
this,
way you
that
hold
you can,
your body.
Exactly, that you can be perceived as, like you said, an arrogant prick. And it's like, until someone literally, you open your mouth and you're like, hey, how are you? You know, being really nice. They're like, oopsie.
Yeah. Oh, I misjudged you.
And the thing is, these type of people, these men, I mean, I feel sorry for them, because they think that confidence is something you're born with. It's definitely not something you're born with. You create your own confidence. It's a tool. Yes, you can genetically just be confident. You could have just had a great father, like I did. Super confident guy, strong, masculine, respectful. Everywhere he went, people respected him. He demanded respect. If he didn't get it, he'd cut people off. So for me, I just mirrored him. Yeah. And trying to use the skills and the tools that I used from my father, and apply them in modern day, and just educating guys that, look, I'm not a magician. You're not going to do a bench press and you're going to turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you're not going to be the most confident guy. It's something that you have to understand why you're not confident. You know, why you can't hold a conversation, why you can't look somebody in the eye and you know, just not feel intimidated. So the training really helped a lot. So from a hormonal point, like a physiological point, of course, when you train, you're definitely going to start, you know, increasing those hormones, testosterone. And that's where the misconception comes, where men start to get shamed for wanting to come to the gym. I mean, that's their biological instinct. I mean, go back 10,000 years ago, you know, what were we doing? We would we were dodging saber-toothed tigers.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly. Yeah.
We were running.
So, you know, we were
Fight or flight.
we were climbing trees. We were carrying heavy rocks. We
Yeah.
were carrying, you know, the next meal to the next campsite.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
So
Yeah.
I think that's
So
awesome. What a
confidence,
cool, what a cool take on just so many things over the last hour. Like, there's just been so many key takeaways. I just love it so much.
What I'm gonna ask the big question
Hit it.
is, what would you want to tell the world if they were listening in 1 minute? What would you want to tell the world? Summarize.
Wow, that's a massive question.
It is. I know, it's huge.
She's a loaded question.
Something that you're so passionate about.
So the first thing would definitely be, so I'm not going to swear, would be do not give a crap about what anybody thinks of you.
Yep.
Because I used to really get upset, you know, because I'd be like, I'm nice, I'm respectful, but why do people put me in a box?
Yep.
You know, is it the way I look? Is it my hair? Is it my beard? What is it? Is it my muscles? Like, I'm not going to change that. I mean, I have a gift. That's how I was made. And in all honesty, I freaking love myself.
Yeah.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't love who you are and what you've achieved and
100%.
exactly what you've been blessed with, I mean, that doesn't mean you're narcissistic. I truly love who I am and who I've become.
100%.
And I'm honest with myself. There's a cluster of things that I could definitely make better. There's so many things that I do not like about myself as well that I'm working on every single day. I mean, it's all about honesty. So you got to be honest with yourself, number one. I mean, number two would be get over yourself. We're all human. You know, we're all human. We all make mistakes. If you make a mistake, just have the confidence to say, listen, my bad.
Yeah.
I apologize. It doesn't make you less of a man. It makes you a bigger man.
Yeah.
Apologize and get over it.
Yeah, I
Get
love
over
it.
it.
I love it. I've definitely taken so much away from today's chat. But before we do go, we have a couple of questions for you. We just normally do a little fast 5 question.
Sure.
Basically, all you need to do is just answer off the top of your head. Number 1
Go for it.
is, would you rather make more money doing a job you hate or less doing one you love?
Yeah, this is a funny one. So I'd rather do a job that I hate and make more money, simply because when I have enough money, then I can do what I love later.
My man.
And
He
I'll
found
tell
the
you
way
why.
around it.
I used to dig trenches for 10 hours a day. Right? So when I was 19, my back was so stuffed after having a massive back injury that there was no way that I could sustain that. But I knew if I suffered when I was younger, I'd have the freedom to do what I could do later. So I mean, money's just an amplifier. So if you're a geek, you're just going to be a super geek if you've got millions of dollars. I mean, so I believe you've got to suffer before you make the money.
Yep.
You've got to be the man before you make the money. And then the money's just going to amplify you later.
Yep.
Because if you make the money first and you haven't gone through those hard yards, you haven't suffered, you haven't developed that thick skin, that character, then you're just a target. You just become a target. You just become a person with money that's going to be used, abused, picked on, and potentially robbed.
Right. There you go. Guilty pleasure, Jeff. What's your guilty pleasure?
Oh, man. I don't know if I can disclose it.
Disclose it.
If you want to disclose it, we can
Disclose it.
edit. You give us 2 answers, the clean and the uncut.
So, I love shopping. So, I love clothes, I like cars, I like sunglasses, and I like watches. Okay. So, I'm not somebody that restricts themselves from presents, but I incentivize myself. I give myself goals.
Yeah.
So it's really important to it's just a psychological thing for me. So, you know, if I've done, you know, X amount, 3 months, I'm going to buy myself this.
Yeah.
And,
I do the
it
same
just
thing.
helps me push to the next. It helps me push to the next level. So I don't let money really make me, or like, you know, I don't really look at money that way. Like my relationship with money is just, it's a tool, and you can do whatever you want with it. I mean, you can do stupid stuff with it, and you can do great stuff with it. So it doesn't define you. Yeah.
Bicep curls or dips?
Ooh, dips. dips because simply triceps is 3/4 of your arm.
Yeah.
And with dips, it's a lot more bang for your buck. You're going to hit a bit of back. You're going to hit a bit of chest.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, look, as much as I love doing curls, I've got to go with the exercise that's going to give you the most.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
Bad breath.
Oh yeah, that's major.
Oral
Just
hygiene.
general hygiene, you know. I can't stand somebody that has bad breath, especially that talks this close to you.
Yeah.
It's like, mate, you could be the greatest guy in the world, right? You got that one bad characteristic about you that's just going to leave an impact on someone forever. Do you really want to be known as that guy with bad breath forever? Because that's just the only way I remember you, man. It's like, brush your teeth or just have a mint. Like, I need to tell you you've got bad breath because I feel sorry for you, bro. Like, I don't want you to go through the next 30 years with bad breath. Like, I'm literally going to tell you. And I've told people that. It's just like... And look, not in a bad way, in a nice way. I feel sorry
literally,
for them.
it's like, I've got your back.
I don't want them to have bad breath.
I like it. And
I've
I
got
like...
your back. That's it.
I feel as though I can kind of relate in a sense that I like to... If you can look after yourself personally, like hygiene-wise and presenting-wise... I feel as though instantly I'm like, all right, you can look after yourself. You can then be trusted in a way. Like you can trust yourself with your own body, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, I believe, like, if you're super hygienic, you are going to function at a high frequency.
What a joy this chat has been.
Man, been through so much, gone through the trenches.
Thank you, guys.
Physically at, working and also mentally with other fitness facilities that we don't want to mention the name. You now are the owner of Gold's Gym North Sydney. Any plans to open another Gold's, or are you just going to make your Gold's the mecca of Gold's in Australia?
Look, absolutely. I've got another gym in the vision. I'm not going to disclose too much, but kind of my methodology behind it is, so we're on the Lower North Shore. I just want to saturate the Lower North Shore. I mean, there's no point in me opening up a gym, 20 or 30 kilometres away from here or even in another state. I mean, I want to be able to be mobile. I want to be able to travel to all the gyms.
Yep.
I want the staff to be local. And I want the members to be able to use all my gyms.
Yeah,
So,
I love that.
I mean, you see, other gyms that have 24-hour access that are 2 or 3 kilometres apart.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
Why not just saturate the area and just build bigger, better gyms.
Quality,
it's the culture. So just making that culture spread throughout the whole suburb.
I love that.
Thank you so much for jumping on.
It's been an honour. Thank you so much, guys.
Appreciate it. And how can people find you, follow you, your own account, or onto the North City? I know that's where I've watched your reel. Plug it away.
Yep. Guys, you can just find us on Gold's Gym North Sydney for Instagram, and my personal one, no problem. Jump on Jeff Myth. And we're on TikTok as Gold's Gym North Sydney as well.
Beautiful. Well,
Excellent.
Thank you so much for joining us, Jeff.
It's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time, man. Enjoy your day.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care, guys. See you later.
Good as gold. Gooder as golder.